Hello and welcome to Connect, the weekly podcast for the California MBA, featuring one-on-one interviews with movers and shakers in the mortgage industry. I'm Susan Milazzo, CEO of the California MBA, and I'm very happy that you could join us today. Before I get to today's guest, I'd like to thank our 2023 President's Council sponsors. Now, these are companies that have provided a significant amount of financial support for the California MBA, in large part helps support our very strong advocacy program to help maintain our representation for the real estate finance industry before the California State Legislature and our regulators. So I want to give a big thank you to our President's Council sponsors this year, and that is AmeriHome, Arch MI, Consolidated Analytics, Funding Shield, Incelerate, Guild Mortgage, Rocket Mortgage, and Western Alliance Bank. Thank you all for your support in 2023. And with that, it takes me to today's guest on Connect. I'm very happy to welcome Bob Noble, who is SVP of Product and Innovation at True. Bob, welcome.
Thank you so much for talking to me today.
Yeah, I love to hear how people kind of got into this crazy business of the mortgage industry. So tell us about how your journey into the mortgage business.
Oh, sure. It wasn't a direct journey. Actually, when I was in grad school, I designed missile guidance systems. And when I graduated, wow. I thought, I'm going to go to work for General Electric and build things that fly in the air and shoot things down. My very first project with GE Research and Development was to figure out how to automate the lending process for a startup business they were creating. And so I went and I immersed myself in what the underwriting process was 30 years ago. That's how long I've been doing this. And I came back after 6 weeks and my friends were saying, you're doing mortgage stuff. We're building airplanes and this, that, and the other thing. I said, let me tell you, underwriting a mortgage is way more complicated than shooting anything down out of the sky. And that had started a 30-year journey of trying to automate and provide more insight into the underwriting process. And like I said, it's been a 30-year journey, everything from origination startups to large servicing companies within the GE portfolio. And finally, in mortgage insurance, where I've spent a good chunk of my time until I came over to True about a year ago.
Wow. Okay, you win a prize because nobody has, I mean, everybody's got a funny story mostly. Nobody has said I was into developing, missile guidance.
Yeah.
That's a first.
Well, we used to kid around, a lot of people say it's not rocket science. I always say at home, it's not mortgage insurance, because that's the real hard stuff.
Right. Oh my gosh, I know. If anybody really knew how complicated it really was, right?
Right.
2023, gosh, this is a challenging year for lenders, and probably the most challenging they've had in quite some time. How can automation done correctly help reduce costs and improve that customer experience?
Everybody's looking for it, and for the folks like me who've been around a cycle or two, we understand that there are down periods, and I want to start by saying, really, the people who always think ahead of the curve are the ones that are successful. So in this down period, now's the time where folks and companies should really focus on innovation and changing their process or leaning out their process. It's not the time to do it is not when you're overwhelmed with volume, right? The old analogy of changing the tire on the car when it's traveling 1,000 miles an hour. So when I think of automation, I think of it in a couple different ways, right? So the first thing when we look at automating anything is, obviously there's operational efficiencies that you get. You're able to, in our case, you're able to ingest documents and index them and extract the data off of them, and there's a big cost savings to having people do that versus having the machine do that. But I think it's where the real power of automation comes in is not just around the operational efficiencies, it's around the capability that you get in terms of scalability. So we're in a down cycle right now, but if you think back a year or so, when we were overwhelmed by volume, how hard was it to scale up? Scaling with people is very hard, finding the right people, training them up, People typically having coverage 24/7 is extremely difficult. Automation allows you to get that scalability and that around the clock performance that's really critical in high volume times. You know, when you think about, okay, well, the answer typically is, we'll outsource it. And if you remember during pandemic times, even outsourcing wasn't a very good option for folks because it, you know, once again, people had a hard time getting them trained up. And oh, by the way, as anybody who does outsource know, it's getting more and more expensive. So if you really want to control your capital costs and minimize your operational expense, you go ahead and you implement these technologies to automate to get you that scalability. And that's that's a really key thing. So that helps drive cost savings, but it also gives you, it not only saves the cost, but it also allows you, when volumes do kick up, to gain opportunities, right? A lot of people had to turn business away because they couldn't handle it. But, you know, through automation, you can handle more business. So that drives up your profit margin. And then the second byproduct of automation that I think sometimes we overlook is the accuracy of the information, right? Automation brings consistency, repetitiveness. It also really provides quality. Going back to the old Six Sigma methodology, humans are 2 Sigma, machines are a lot higher than that. So being able to have highly accurate information allows you to automate other areas of your process with confidence. And so I think you take that and you combine automation with the fact that you can scale, that you're going to save on operational costs, and then you're also introducing quality and quantity, right? You're going to be able to capture more data. You're going to have more confidence in that data. It really opens up other benefits that really people don't think when they look at automation tools, right? There's one thing that I always like to tell people when they start thinking about the automation process is you automate up front. It has a ripple effect throughout the manufacturing process, right? So if you catch all those errors up front, it's less, it costs less, because if your underwriter is catching all these data inaccuracies or problems with indexing, it has a higher cost, right? So there's a cost to quality, and it's a quantifiable cost too. And so you want to get those up front and really focus your higher paid resources to work on the problems that really underwriters have to work on. I always say that the underwriting process, after all these years, I've defined it to be 2 things: part art, part science. Let the machines do the science, and let the people focus on the art part of it. And I think that's what automation brings to the table.
You know, the True platform, I had a chance to talk with some of you at the ICE experience here a few weeks ago. The True platform using artificial intelligence is really cutting edge for lenders. Can you tell us a little bit about the company?
Sure. We're a AI company founded back in 2017. Our founder, Dr. Ari Gross, Columbia PhD, who ran the computer vision labs at back in the day. He really figured out a way to pull apart these documents and understand them in a way that typical or OCR technologies at the time just they weren't looking at it. And that ability to do that core understanding at the lowest, most atomic level of the document really sort of allowed us to say, hey, how do we apply this technology to other areas? And one of the areas that really popped out was the mortgage space. Right? We really saw the need for automation, the need for understanding these documents and doing it in a programmatic way. So in 2018 or 2017, we formed SoftWorks. 2018, we got our first client, and in 2022, we rebranded to True Technology. True, we're, like I said, a true AI company, a true technology company, and that's where we're at today. But we have the mindset of that old academic research lab. We are hell-bent on trying to understand every nuance about every document, and we're not happy with 50% or 75%. We want to be 99.9% accurate all the time, always striving to 100. And so that really drives that old research grad school mentality drives our company to really be innovative and think outside the box and come up with solutions that are technically at the very edge of technology.
Yeah. Just so much technology in the mortgage space now, as opposed to, when I started this job 19 years ago. How does True set themselves apart from their competitors?
Yeah, so there's a lot of there's a lot of technology out in the marketplace right now, and there's a lot of products that call themselves AI products, and I think we're very proud of the fact that we are a true AI product, right? So there are some reputable companies out there that do document recognition, but one thing that we do differently is I go back to our research mentality. Our approach to understanding these documents is we look at it not only at the document level, we look at it holistically. So we look at the entire loan package or all the documents that you provide us. So instead of just looking at a pay stub and pulling the data off a pay stub, we look at a pay stub and we say, okay, we also have the W-2s. Let's go and make sure the data matches, names match, that the amounts sort of reconcile against each other, that the addresses are correct and valid, and that's another key, right? Correctness versus accuracy. I can pull a state abbreviation code off of a form. If someone doesn't know the abbreviation for North Carolina and they say NO instead of NC, we'll pull off, a lot of companies will pull off NO and plug it into your underwriting system. It's not correct. We'll pull off NO, but we'll also realize that there is no state abbreviation for NO, and we'll correct the data to be NC. Because if you don't have confidence in the data, then really automation isn't possible. So it starts with that holistic view of looking at the whole loan, and all the context that you can give the data is really drives up the accuracy. That technology, our technology, the way we look at the loan, the way we classify, we don't classify things positionally. We look at it like a human would look at it, contextually. So when we read a document, there can be nuances and changes and variations, but we still understand it because we look at those nuances in a contextual manner. And what that allows us to do is really have a high level of accuracy, and have that. And when you have that high level of accuracy, right, you have clean and trusted data, which is a huge benefit, right? Getting clean data, it's essential to automation, and it's a huge cost for the industry today. And we feel like we can provide that in an automated fashion. And like I said, the better the data is up front, the more you can guarantee that it's correct, the better you're off further down the manufacturing process, because my underwriters aren't going to have to fix data, or I'm not going to have to fix data at the closing table, or I'm not going to have loans repurchased because I didn't have the data correct, or I missed something, or I forgot something. Our tools up front provide that validation of the data within the context of the whole loan, and also look at the totality of the loan, make sure we have the right documents, make sure we have the right data, make sure that in combination everything ticks and ties nicely, so that when it moves to the next step in the process, you can guarantee that it's as accurate as it possibly can be. And I think that's one of the things that really separates us, because that clean and accurate data really opens up and businesses to do automation and to do things that allow them to trust that we're doing our part, so that the art part can be done in a more efficient manner.
Yeah, anything to streamline that process, right? I mean, to help create efficiencies is what every lender is looking for. That's for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
One thing I noticed, True talks about a term, lending intelligence, which isn't something that I think is widely used. Can you talk about that a little bit?
I sure can. We're kind of proud of that saying, but I'll give you a little bit of background. So, like everybody, we said earlier, everybody in the industry talks about automation, right? And it tends to be focused on task automation. And often what's missed in these conversations is the challenges surrounding data automation, right? An old mentor of mine told me, data is king, right? If you don't have great data, then everything's going to break down, right? So lending data, it's complicated. Like I said before, I could track rockets, but fully automating an underwrite is a lot more challenging. So getting that data from all these various sources with, the variation of disclosures and explanation letters is really, really great. And that data is locked in those documents. It's very difficult to get to. And we've talked about some of these issues, right, during this podcast. But if we look at the role that data plays in our industry, it's so critical for everything: automation, reporting, you name it, right? It powers everything. It powers the automation. It's a fuel for the engine. If this data is wrong and it's cascaded down the process, there's an enormous negative effect, right? So we don't want that. But data also allows us to know more about the lenders, how the borrowers behave, what they need. So there's insight within that data as well. So good data not only helps your process, it also helps your opportunities. It'll allow you to do trending, look for ways to formulate new products, help prioritize loans, help on the customer experience side of the world. If you can provide data quickly back to your customer saying, hey, we asked for 2 W-2s, you sent us one, can you give us another one? While they're engaged, I think there's a good customer experience there as well. So at True, we're all about manufacturing incredible data, insightful data, and it's based on our technology. And our customers benefit from the level of lending intelligence that we provide, right? So we call it lending intelligence because we're not just looking at pulling data off. We're looking at taking that data, applying it to a bunch of different problems, looking at it holistically within the loan process, unlocking data that is not only used in the lending process, but can be used for providing those insights. And, so we have several of our customers are in the mortgage insurance area using that data for pricing, to be more proactive during the loss mitigation process is also very key as well. So we call it intelligent data. It's more than just automation and task automation. It's really about unlocking all that wonderful data, allowing companies to use that in a bunch of different ways to not only help the lending life cycle, but also provide intelligence on behaviors, patterns, and things of the such. I hope that made sense.
Yeah, no, it certainly does. And truly an innovative platform you have there at True. That's very, very, very interesting. Thank you. Thank you for expanding on that. And Bob, thank you so much for being a guest on Connect. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it.
And thanks to all of you for joining us on the Connect podcast. To access any of our episodes, you can follow us on our YouTube channel. We're also available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcast, and Spotify. That's it for this week, and we'll see you next time on Connect.